Travis Hunter is an impact player on both sides of the football. Who is the last player to be impact on both sides of the football to win a Heisman? Mr. Woodson.
Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and the Colorado Buffaloes just broke college football again. And okay, I know you're probably thinking, nah man, we saw this last year at the beginning of the season when Colorado stood out as college football's big winner last September. I mean, we all remember how viral it went when the Buffaloes took down TCU and Nebraska and suddenly became the epicenter of the sports world in their first month of action under their new head coach, Deion Sanders.
We told you we coming. We told you we coming. You thought we was joking. And guess what? We keep receipts. God bless you, America. Ooh, God is good.
Only to then go 4 weeks into the season to get absolutely humiliated by Oregon and just completely collapse, finishing the season 4-8 and in last place in the Pac-12. And honestly, just with all the swagger and the talking that Shedeur and Deion were doing throughout the season, it wasn't really a good look for them to finish in last place. But then in the offseason, things only got worse for them. Countless coaches were leaving, and I mean, he even demoted offensive coordinator Sean Lewis and made Pat Shurmur the offensive play caller, despite the defense honestly just causing more problems for the Buffaloes last year. And like, I mean, if that wasn't bad, then the transfer portal opened and things got even worse. I mean, in the first 48 hours after the spring window opened, 15 players entered the portal, including former 5-star cornerback Cormani McClain, and just 2 were holdovers from the pre-Sanders era. I mean, we all remember how Deion rejected the idea that the portal exits were cause of concern, telling reporters in April this.
I wish you guys do a little more homework when you start talking about the portal and understand what we losing. What are we losing? We're good. We're good. I trust the recruiting team. I trust our coaches. And please have some faith in me. We're good.
Add in the feud Shedeur was having with players, as well as the viral clip from their training camp, and it was like deja vu, and all our eyes were on the Sanders family, Travis Hunter, and the Colorado Buffaloes on opening night of college football. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, I bet on North Dakota State plus 10.5 in this game. And if I was you, I mean, don't take my betting advice because it's my advice after all, but I might fade Colorado every single game this season. And like, I mean, this team is super fun to watch, but that's about as far as I think they go, is just they're a fun team to watch. And like, don't get me wrong, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, they'll probably both go in the top 5 of next year's draft class, as crazy as that sounds. But I mean, like, as a whole team, they're just not as hyped up as everybody makes them seem to be. And like, I mean, as we got into this game, I gotta be honest, I was really worried about Colorado on those first few drives. I mean, their defense just looked really bad, or honestly as bad as last year, and they were awful last year. I mean, especially after their D-line had been said to be really good, I was expecting honestly a lot more out of this defensive unit. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from North Dakota State. They are an awesome FCS team. I'm sure they will go and compete for a national title, but Colorado is a D1 team. Those guys should be dominating that offensive line. And it was almost like the exact opposite on the opening drive, and just as we saw throughout the game. I mean, like, honestly, coming into every single game that I think Colorado does play throughout this season, and kind of my reasoning for why I'm going to fade them this year is because, I mean, to be frank, every team is going to play this game when they play Colorado like it's their Super Bowl. They have the social media presence and just the media presence right now that really everybody hates the Colorado Buffaloes and the Sanders and Travis Hunter. I mean, everybody wants to beat this team as bad as possible. I mean, it's pretty easily to see too, because on that first drive that North Dakota State had the ball, they easily drove down on this Colorado defense. I mean, they start the game off right here with Cam Miller hitting their running back on an angle route right here, and he takes it for like 50, 60 yards all the way down to inside the 30. And I mean, right here, just the energy that North Dakota State shows how bad they want to beat Colorado. I mean, again, this is an FCS school. They have a lot to prove, and what better way to prove it than beating Colorado? And then again, they follow this up with a nice little run play right here. But again, if you look at this defensive line, they are absolutely getting mauled right here. Like, this is why I think that Colorado may not be as good as everybody's thinking, because this play, they just get absolutely mauled for another easy 7-8 yards right here. But North Dakota State would stall out, and Griffin Crosa would hit a 36-yard field goal, and then Shedeur Sanders in the Colorado offense would take the field and would absolutely begin to light it up. And I gotta to be pretty honest with you guys right now. I was really impressed with how Shedeur played the game last night. Like, he looked like a very prominent and good passer throughout the entire game, and especially later in the third quarter. But again, on this drive, he's just showing his awareness of hitting checkdowns, taking the open man, and just making sure that he's pretty much just making sure that the ball stays safe the entire time. And then right here on a nice 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line, just a simple little curl route to Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter just shows why he is D1 speed and is easily a top 5 pick in this year's draft, and scores a touchdown, one of his first 3 of the night. Again, I mean, he just hits a little fade stop right here. Shedeur hits him, and it's off to the races. Travis scores easy peasy. Nobody was going to catch him. And then, I mean, here we have Cam Miller just taking his little submarine route right here to the running back, and I'm honestly surprised that they didn't call a personal foul right here. I mean, Shiloh Sanders is really questionable on the defensive side of the ball. He really just makes, I don't want to say it this way, but he makes some really dumb mistakes and puts the team in jeopardy. And even later in this game, got a penalty just on a stupid thing he shouldn't have done. And he does this like once a game. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Dion handles this throughout the entire season. I mean, that easily could have been a penalty right there, pushing him all the way into the opposing bench. Like, it almost seems a little bit dirty at times. But then again, we have Cam Miller standing tall in the pocket. And again, if you look at the pass rush here, there's really no pass rush right here. For again, as much as everybody was talking about how good this D line was, we didn't see it that much throughout this entire game, or at least in the first half. And right here, he hits an easy 30-40 yard gain and gets them inside the 10-yard line. And Cam Miller capitalized on it by throwing a touchdown to the tight end. And again, this is where I was getting really nervous watching this game, is again, Colorado has a target on their back. Everybody wants to beat them, and North Dakota State was trying to prove a point here. But then 2 plays later, after the ensuing kickoff, Shedeur Sanders would drop an absolute beautiful pass.
Ball Shedeur Sanders over the middle of the field. Horn on the catch at the other end. The connection and a touchdown.
I mean, again, like, when you are watching this play, Shedeur is standing in the pocket. I honestly thought he was getting sacked and was just chucking it up, but then this dude was just standing there. I was just in complete awe of when he scored this touchdown. Like, this was absolutely insane. And again, Jimmy Horn Jr., I mean, just turns on the afterburners here, and nobody was going to catch him. Like, this dude, again, it's D1 speed. You can tell the speed difference when this guy caught the ball. Nobody was going to catch him. But yet again, Cam Miller would lead another methodical drive, another 10-play, 77-yard drive where he would score on a read option. And yes, it was a little questionable right here. I did think that it was a holding penalty, but nonetheless, I mean, they did still score. And again, I mean, they're up 17-14 right now. And I think Colorado wasn't ready for this game to be as close as they thought it should have been. But again, North Dakota State is trying to prove something here, and they've put together a really solid game plan. They haven't really been behind the sticks. They've been able to keep up with Colorado, and it's been proving well. Again, number 5 right here on North Dakota State, I really thought it was a holding penalty, but again, I think everybody did too, and they let him get away with it, and they scored a touchdown on this drive. And then on the ensuing drive, Colorado would go for it on 4th and 1 and would get stuffed. And again, when we were all watching this game, and a lot of people, including all the fans in Boulder, were holding their breath, hoping that they would get this 4th, but they wouldn't end up getting it. And again, now a lot of people were thinking this is where the wheels are going to fall off and Colorado is going to start to lose, but that wasn't the case. North Dakota State would go and get a field goal after they did get that 4th down stop, but then again, Shedeur Sanders would get the ball back and lead an 8-play, 89-yard drive in 56 seconds to go and get a field goal and send the game into halftime at a 20-17 score. And that entire drive in 8 plays for 89 yards, I mean, that was just a pure pocket passing, just Patrick Mahomes-esque type of drive from Shedeur Sanders, just showing how he could extend plays and just how poised he looked in the pocket. I mean, like, this dude was looking like a premier passer all night long and was putting on a passing clinic tonight. Like, Shedeur Sanders completely did impress me tonight. Again, I know it was against an FCS team, and I'm not trying to take anything away from North Dakota State, but he truly did impress me with how he played tonight against them. I mean, he looked like a much better passer than of what we saw last year, or even when he was at Jacksonville State. But as we started the 3rd quarter, this is where Travis Hunter began to absolutely take over the game. Right here, coming out of the half on like the 5th or 4th play of the drive, Shedeur Sanders hits him for like a 40-yard gain, and I think it might have been a little bit of a push off here, but it might have been a makeup call for the holding earlier. But I mean, the catch and ball thrown here from Travis Hunter and Shedeur was insane, and it was just perfect. But then on the third down after that insane Travis Hunter catch, we have just this insane play that literally is something straight out of NCAA 25. Following that interception though, Colorado was able to hold North Dakota State to punting the ball. And again, this is where Travis Hunter just continued to take over in the third and fourth quarter. On top of them taking over in the third and fourth quarter, the pass rush became much more lively in the second half, and we're actually being able to get to Cam Miller. I don't know if they were changing their stunts or the coverage behind them, but they were actually able to go and get some stops on defense now. And then following that stop too, I mean, Shedeur went back to just putting on an absolute passing clinic, hitting Jimmy Horn Jr. over the middle. I mean, this had to have been a blown coverage because there was nobody standing within 10 yards of this dude, and I was surprised he didn't score again here. Like, this was just a passing clinic that Shedeur was putting on and really was impressing me all night long. But then again, once we get inside the 20, we know what time it is, and they go to Travis Hunter. He's going to be that prime guy that I think they go to, but it's also going to be kind of tricky once we start to see how teams get more film on them and how they start to adjust to them. But again, Travis Hunter's using his hands well right here, getting separation from the cornerback and making just insane body control to be able to catch this ball in the back corner of the end zone for the touchdown and finally give Colorado their first lead since the first quarter. But again, we knew North Dakota State wasn't going to go down without putting up a fight, and Cam Miller was leading these boys down the field, trying his best he could. But again, this pass rush was finally getting some pressure to him, and they were getting some sacks now, and they had to be forced to punt the ball back to Colorado. And again, the Travis Hunter show was in full effect. And on this first drive of the fourth quarter too, this really showed just how methodical Shedeur Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes can be. I mean, this was a 17-play, 80-yard drive where they controlled the ball for more than 8 minutes of this quarter. And then to finally put the game away, Travis Hunter put the exclamation point on the game.
They just get it off into the end zone. Contact. What a catch! A miraculous, implausible, impossible catch by 12.
North Dakota State did go down the field and end up scoring another touchdown, but they didn't get the 2-point conversion. And then again, they did get the ball back. They got another stop. And this is what Deion Sanders had to say about the last Hail Mary play, where they actually ended up catching it on the 5-yard line, but as time expired, they weren't able to get off another play. And this is what Deion said.
Coach, congratulations. What was your reaction to the last play of the game?
You don't want to know. I don't use profanity, but I thought it.
I mean, as we examine this game now that it is over, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter look like two guys that are going to be top 5 picks in this year's draft. I mean, Shedeur Sanders had a stat line of 26 completions for 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. And honestly, I don't really think that interception should count because of just how fluky it was. And then you had Travis Hunter. I mean, this dude literally played every snap of the game, I think, except for 1 snap tonight. And then on top of that, on the offensive side of the ball, had 7 receptions for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, this is almost, he didn't have that many touchdowns last year in the opener last year, but he made sure he was known that he was on the field every single play last year against TCU and this year against North Dakota State. And then, I mean, honestly, the biggest name that really everybody kind of didn't even know about this year, I mean, he was a transfer in and a lot of people did know about him, was Jimmy Horn Jr., who had 7 receptions for 198 yards and the touchdown, where again, this dude just looks like an absolute speed demon. And if they can utilize this guy throughout the season, he could give a lot of DBs and a lot of defensive coordinators some headaches if they can use him with deep crosses over the middle and just kind of opening up the deeper and just taking the top off on defenses. But definitely the play of the night was that last and final touchdown from Travis Hunter. I mean, again, the body control that this kid has on some of these catches is insane. Like, this guy is a star. He knows what to do on the offensive and on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he could easily be the first overall pick, and I know a lot of people have been saying that, especially after tonight, and there's a lot of hype after the first game, but this dude came ready to play and proved a point tonight with his 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, realistically, they are in a new conference this year, but I mean, I don't really think that they're going to win more than 5 games. I mean, I hope they do. That would be great, and they would get so much media attention as they did tonight, and they're going to be in a lot of primetime games. But as we look at their schedule, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough playing inside of the Big 12 this year. They've got to go to UCF. They've also got to play at Arizona, and Arizona looks like they could be a sneaky good team this year, as much as it hurts me to say that. But again, they've they've got to play down the stretch. They have to play 3 ranked opponents in Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. So, I mean, honestly, I would be surprised if this team does win more than 5 games. But again, if Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter can play like that, like they did tonight, then honestly, they could easily win 7 or 8 games. I could even see that. I think what their success really comes down to, though, is just how their defense can play this year and how good they are going to be. If their defense plays anything like they did last year, which we definitely did see some glimmers of that tonight, where they were very undisciplined and just giving up a lot of easy passes and runs just because of how undersized and how young they are, then they probably again won't be able to win a lot of games. But if their defense can get really good and play really solid for the most of the season, then I could easily see this team winning 7 or 8 games, like I said. I mean, we know how good Travis is going to be at the cornerback spot, but again, that D-line has gotten a lot of hype for how many good pass rushers there are, and it took them a whole half to get to the quarterback. So again, it really comes down to how well this defense can play. They were almost last in every category in defense last year. So if they can step it up even slightly a little bit and be just average, then I could easily see this team being very successful this year. But next week they travel to Nebraska to renew that rivalry that they just have started up again, and then they go to Colorado State again at 7:30 Eastern time. So it's going to be definitely interesting and fun to watch these guys play. I want to see Travis keep it up this year, and if he can play like he is, I mean, he's going to have to stay healthy. If he's going to play on both sides of the ball, it's going to take a toll on his body. But if he can stay really healthy throughout the entire year, then they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And again, Shedeur looks like right now he could be a top 5 pick if he does continue this play throughout the entire year. But I want to know what you guys think. How good are the Colorado Buffaloes going to be this year? Honestly, for me, I was really impressed with how they played last night. Definitely were a little bit shaky, as I said throughout the video, especially that defensive unit, but I think it just kind of all is going to come in time. They're going to get that swagger that they have because of Deion Sanders coaching them and everything. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do this year to try and curb all the things that happen in the offseason and all the media things that they're doing. So it'll be interesting to see. But again, give me your record predictions down below. Do you believe in all the Colorado hype, or are you kind of just over it? Let me know down in the comment section below. And again, if you did enjoy the content, make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to be inside my fantasy league this year for NFL, join my Discord. We are doing so many things over there, pick 'em pool, fantasy, and some other things too once we get them all launched. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.